Good morning, everyone. It's 10 a.m. I'd like to welcome everyone to the June 15th of 2020 Commission meeting. Call it to order. Pam, do we have any public comment?
Yes, sir. First up is Garth Lovern.
Mr. Lovern, if you don't mind, step up here to the mic. Let everybody know that we give 3 minutes, and that way everybody can have a chance to speak. So we won't answer any questions, so we'll just let y'all speak for 3 minutes. Just step around the other side there, Mr. Lovern. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commission, our friends out here. Chief Ross, good to see you. I'm here to talk about the issue that's come up lately about the Confederate statue at the courthouse. Now, I was born 1 block from there. I live 3 blocks from there, so I know it pretty well. And I know that we've got a lot of people out here that are on both sides of the issue about whether the statue should be removed or taken down. There are other people out here that say, no, the statue's got to stay. All right, I'm coming as a compromise. Okay, and my compromise, I'm going to call it the Great Limestone County Compromise, because I know we got a lot of issues of people, descendants here, black and white, that have gone through hard times in the past. You know, you had a Civil War, then you had the Reconstruction era, which is tough on everybody. Okay, you had the Jim Crow era, then you had the Civil Rights era, you had white rights, 2,000 people back years ago. With all that hardships here. Okay, where I'm coming from is a history of this place. And we've got not only the statue up there, we've got monuments to soldiers who were killed in action who never came back. All right, begin with the Confederate statue. It was put there to honor dead who never came back, you know, by their wives, their children were all for this. It was not put there to intimidate people or black people. Okay. The other monuments up there, and a lot of people don't know that they're up there. The killed in action, World War I, World War II, Korean War, the Cold War, the War on Terror, Vietnam, which was a terrible divide in this country. So what I want to do is keep a progression of history up here. Not take down any statue up there or any monument, but build on it. I would like for the black minority to come up with an idea of somebody that they think should be a statue on this square up here. And I've got some ideas. And if you go down to our tourism board, there's an African American Heritage Trail down there. I'd have brought more, but I want you to go down there and look and see what else they've got. You know, they've got the Civil War Trail. Another thing I want to talk about is another great statue up there, Judge James E. Horton, and the case about the Scottsboro boys. A lot of controversy over that. Okay, if we go and look at our history, Civil War history we've got in Limestone County, if you'll take the Civil Rights history, begin down in Montgomery with the Rosa Parks Museum that Troy University put up, 252 Montgomery Street, and see what Rosa Parks got on a bus, 1955. I believe she was called the First Lady of Civil Rights, something like that. Okay, if you go on to Selma, you got the Edmund P. Pettus Bridge, where Martin Luther King led people to Montgomery. Go to Birmingham, you got 16th Street Baptist Church, and that terrible bombing. Well, come on north to Athens, and then, again, you got Judge Horton up there in the Scottsboro boys. What I want to do is have this trail come all the way up and in at our courthouse, which is a beautiful courthouse. The commission has done, in the city of Athens, a great job of modernizing that up there.
Mr. Lovern, your 3 minutes is up there.
Okay, that's where I'm coming from. Compromise. Think compromise.
Thank you, Mr. Lovern. Thank you. All right. Go ahead, Pam. Next.
Waylon Norman.
Mr. Norman, if you don't mind, step up to the mic, please. Waylon Norman.
I'm here to speak about law and order. If somebody can simply take and raise $25,000 and break the law and go take a statue, go ahead and mark it down that I'll spend my $25,000 to remove whichever statue of my choosing of Limestone County. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. That's where I stand on it.
Thank you, Mr. Norman.
Zach Magnuson.
Mr. Moggs, if you don't mind, step up to the mic, please.
My name is Zach Magnuson. I'm from Ardmore. My ancestral roots in Limestone County predate statehood, and I'm here today in support of the preservation of the Limestone County Confederate Soldiers Memorial, unmolested where it now stands and has stood for 111 years. In the brief time I'm allotted here today, I want to tell you about 6 of the men that monument and those like it all over the South memorialize. Private John Wesley Holt was in Company C, 11th Alabama Cavalry, and he rode with Forrest at Harrisburg, Mississippi, and Bryce's Crossroads, and with Wheeler through Georgia. He laid down his arms at Pond Springs in Lawrence County on the 8th of May, 1865. Corporal Blake Bartlett, Company B, 18th Regiment, Georgia Infantry, enlisted in February 1862 and served with the Army of Northern Virginia. He received a gunshot wound in his chest at Chancellorsville and spent 3 months in the hospital in Richmond, followed by a 30-day furlough home to Georgia. He returned to the fight in time to take a mini-ball in his left hand at Spotsylvania Courthouse. And after another short stay in the hospital, again returned to duty to suffer through the siege of Petersburg. He was captured on the 6th of April at Sailor's Creek, 3 days before the exhausted Army of Northern Virginia was surrendered at Appomattox. Others I'll list by name due to time constraints. Private William Woodford, Company A, 53rd Regiment, Tennessee Infantry. Private William Coleman Barksdale, Company E, 26th Regiment, Alabama Infantry. Private James Henry Rogers, Company F, 50th Alabama Infantry. And Private William Riley Roberts, 4th Regiment, Russell's Cavalry. Each of these 6 men share the common bond of brothers in arms that answered the call of their state to defend it from invasion. But they have something else in common. Each of them is with us in this room today, maybe in spirit, but actually in the flesh and blood of one of their ancestors, or descendants rather. They put their lives on the line, and in a very real sense ours, on the field of battle. Think of the man who did not survive and the people who never existed because of it. Think how fortunate we are to even be here. As a descendant of one of these men, I stand here before the other 5, gently reminding them that you swore an oath to support the Constitution of Alabama and the laws pursuant thereto, and that there is no legal path by which this monument can be moved or altered. That fact was affirmed last week by the Attorney General of the state of Alabama in response to the Madison County Commission's efforts to move the monument in Huntsville. So I urge you to do everything in your power to preserve and protect our ancestors' monument, unmolested, where it now stands and has stood for 111 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moggs. Thank you.
Blake Saucer.
Mr. Saucer.
Good morning. I would like to thank the County Commission for the opportunity for have myself and my colleagues here to speak to you about a very important subject and the issue within Limestone County. My colleagues and I are a group of caring, professional, intelligent, and like-minded people who have lived or still currently reside in Limestone County, where a constant reminder of the grueling and violent history of the Confederate era stands. My colleagues have passionately researched and worked to show you today what we consider extremely relevant and factual information as to why we should relocate this memorial. We have seen and heard the comments that we are trying to erase history, and I can assure you that is the furthest from the truth. We simply want every human being that walks by or drives through our beautiful hometown to see the true progress and equality we have all fought so hard for. I believe you, the Commission, want what's absolutely best for the greater Limestone County, and I believe it would behoove you to listen to the voices you represent. Thank you, and I relieve my time.
Thank you.
Madeline Bankhart. I'm not sure I pronounced her last name correctly.
All right, good morning. Thank you so much for allowing us to speak here today. My name is Madeline Burkhart, and I, along with Blake Sulcer and a lot of my other former classmates and colleagues, are here to speak on the monument. I'm also coming as a historian and a professional conservationist. So what Blake said is true. We are not trying to erase history at all. Actually, we're trying to save it. So we're wanting to move it to a place where it can be better conserved, put an educational plaque there, because there's not one that exists there right now. However, if we are going to talk about this history, I do think there needs to be a better understanding of it. From my research, I found that the first monument there was placed by the Daughters of the Confederacy, and actually it wasn't in that location, but it was on Market Street. People didn't like it. They thought that the man looked whipped. They took it down. And so a man by the name of Thomas Macklin Hobbs stepped up to the plate and was like, I will pay for the next monument. I just ask that this poem go on this statue and this poem go on this other one. Now, from my research, Thomas Macklin Hobbs was associated with the Ku Klux Klan. And I have evidence that this statue was put up as an active soldier. The previous one that the Daughters of the Confederacy put up, they intended for it to be a memorial to those who had fallen, and it now resides in the graveyard to forever look over his comrades. But the one that is standing at the courthouse is facing northeast. It's forever looking down at their opponent. And what we're just wanting to do is just rehome him, fix the crack in the base, put an education plaque with it, and have him in a better home to fully complete the narrative of the Civil War, Athens' involvement in it, and so forth. And I don't think that a monument, personally, that was funded by a member of the KKK should stay. That is a clear move of white supremacy, and that is what I believe it represents, but I obviously cannot speak for my community members and neighbors who are black or people of color. But again, from a historian perspective, moving it to a museum or to a cemetery where there are people who understand that the wear and tear of what the weather's doing to it right now, it will erode it over time and over time. I mean, you had a tree limb that fell and almost hit it, wiped it out. You don't want that to happen again, I'm sure. And put something there to say, this is what happened to Athens. These are the men that stood up and fought for our city at that time to protect it after it was sacked. You know, we didn't want to show defeat, which is true. But I do believe that it belongs in a more historically relevant place where it can be accessed by school groups, by tourists who are visiting the town, and be residing with other materials that would have belonged to someone from the Confederacy at that time. Thank you again, and I will relieve my time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Lindsay Sims.
Ms. Sims?
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for allowing us to be here to speak. And I appreciate the words, regardless of the standpoint of everyone I've heard this morning. I want to echo what Mr. Lovern said with a quote from F. Scott Fitzgerald that the test of first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposed ideas in mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. First, I must confess that I'm the individual responsible for organizing the GoFund group in support of relocation of the Confederate monument. My name is Lindsay Sims, and I live in District 2. And I want to explain the background and the reasoning behind this group. Since the murder of George Floyd, I've begun a soul search myself and have been overcome with a deep sorrow for the state of our nation as a whole. After watching Birmingham, what happened with the monument, I realized that Athens must take action to educate and unify in order to better our community and to prevent such from happening in our town. So I'm a native of Athens. I come from a long line of hardworking Athenians. I am who I am because of my heritage. My grandparents, both lifelong residents of Limestone County. My great-grandfather ran the cotton gin out in Reed community. My family name alone has many lifelong residents of Limestone County, so I can assure you that this campaign was not born of resentment or hatred for our county. It is born of an immense respect and a true love for it. It is born of a hope that whatever the compromise is, that it be of sound mind, preservation, respect, educated choice, and unity. As I mentioned earlier, I realize Athens has a potential conflict arising, and I began observing those around me. I'm an educator with a passion for child advocacy, as well as the pursuing of learning. In our schools, we teach Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. On a school level, it's called The Leader in Me. So I watched for those around me that showed a sound-mindedness about them. I watched for the educated persons. Ultimately, I watched for people to gather who in some way exhibited habits 4, 5, and 6. Those are think win-win, seek first to understand, then to be understood, and synergize. So to be clear, I'm here as a resident of this town. I support our black brothers and sisters. I'm here on behalf of my students and all of the children in this city. You know, the very first call that I got on this matter was from a 12-year-old child asking me my standpoint and asking for a ride to a peaceful protest. If you don't believe that our children aren't watching, they are. Please take this into consideration. I'm here on behalf of my classmates and my fellow Athens. I'd like to encourage you to visit the GoFund page because, as I emailed you, the updates portion of the page is where we're sharing educational resources for everyone. Again, in closing, this is not about politics or divisions. This, to me, is a campaign, and the team behind it is about education, community research, and ultimately unity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sims.
Thank you, Ms. Sims.
Caroline Foray.
Caroline? Okay.
Hi, Commission. Hi, community. Thank you for your time and willingness to hear from this community. My name is Caroline Foray. I was raised here in Limestone County, and I currently reside here in North Alabama. I come here today with many others representing the next generation of Limestone leaders who aim to continue to build a prosperous and successful community. I'm here urging the Commission to approve and plan for the relocation of the Confederate statue that is currently located on the courthouse lawn. I'd like to express this as a priority. It is something that demands our local leaders' attention. Without supporting the relocation of this monument, the Commission positions itself as uninterested in preserving our county's track to prosperity. I know that this Commission does value success and growth just as much as it invests in the preservation of history. You can take action and help this community do both. This issue is something that affects the growth of this county in real dollars and cents. Many individuals and families are looking to relocate to North Alabama due to huge job opportunities arriving at our doorstep. Toyota, the FBI, Facebook, and many other firms are recruiting diverse, hardworking people, and their families are looking for a new community to call home. The presence of this statue on our city center, our courthouse lawn, is directly related and hugely symbolic of how people consider our values, what our people stand for. You've heard the history of this monument today. With this monument in place, we're expressing that our county stands for inequality, injustice, and oppression. Let us instead choose to lead by example, have an edge over Madison County, the cities of Huntsville and Decatur, and continue to prioritize growth and over stagnation. City and county leaders across the state and nation are becoming more aware of the impact of these monuments in town centers and the growth of their economies and communities. Supporting the relocation to a museum or to a cemetery symbolizes your support of growth for Limestone County and your preservation of history. We challenge you to think not what the status quo has been, but of what is to come and what is right. Ultimately, we all have a moral obligation to uphold, and with your great responsibility as a county leader, we urge you to fulfill that obligation with action. Thank you.
Thank you.
Walker Sims.
Mr. Sims? Oh, Miss Sims. Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Walker Sims, and I grew up in Athens, and I love this city, and I do not like public speaking, so this is telling you how much I care about the city and the people here. I want to start by reading you a statement that I took from the visitathens.alabama.com website. It says, "Community is more than buildings, boundaries, and roadways. It's the people. The people are the pulse of the community. They are a heart of the community, and they are the soul of the community.
It is the people that strive to make the community the best it can be through stewardship, through sweat, through tears, and through joy. To me, in order to start actually fulfilling such a mission statement, we need to realize how extremely divisive that this statue is. I believe that relocating it to a proper location shows that we can move forward and promote growth as a unified community. Like I said, I love this town and I grew up here, and I have such a passion to see it grow in a positive way, and that all that come through this town can really see the difference that we are making and growing and striving to feel like everyone belongs here. I believe this community must allow diversity to flourish in order to grow and strengthen for its future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shauna Kynes. Shauna.
Shauna Kynes.
Hello. Mine's short and sweet. You may question why we're even talking about these statues now. We are just used to seeing them anywhere, everywhere anyways. I ask you, have you ever been blind to something and then God unveils the truth? And then you realize the work you have ahead of you, uncomfortable work. You have to do the work to make a change. Our community needs transparency to ensure trust. Imagine a community focused on healing and love. 1 John 3:18 states, "Dear children, let us not love with word or speech, but with actions and in truth." There is an infection of racism around our country. It can spread and grow in our town. You are never going to heal an infection without cleansing it first. Relocating the Confederate statue would be a part of this healing. Addressing this means we embrace the tenets that reflect the Southern culture to be connection, equality, charm, history, over lost cause attitudes. End quote. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dakota Cotton.
Dakota.
Dakota.
Sorry. Get my timer on. Hi, my name's Dakota. I work here in town. I actually have something to read from a friend of mine who's a local African American woman, but she was nervous about coming to this place and saying these things, which I think in and of itself says a lot. So these are not my words, but hers. When I see the monument in front of the courthouse, my reaction is seldom visible. Part of this is conditioned. 30 years of living and looking at a marble-studded southern landscape that seldom changes. The other part stems from guised professional advice, warning me that work, my thoughts, and my opinions are futile. She works in the historical industry. Both of these are orchestrated attempts to encourage silence and create paralyzing insecurities. In short, it is a way to normalize that which is not normal. Confederate monuments, paintings, and other symbols are supposed to be noticed, and in the South's case, they are presented as a source of connection. They were erected to connect people to the land, to their Southern pride, and to the past. So when we talk about these artifacts, I know how people want me to feel. I also know that not feeling pride usually results in confusion and often defensiveness. As we see statues and symbols removed, arguments occur, ranging from the loss of Southern history to the claim that they represent, quote, heritage, not hate. Upon hearing these or others, I become perplexed and think, then when is it that my heritage and my Southernness is not encompassed in these same monuments? The statues exemplify this issue, as they omit many parts of our history, including the 110th, 111th, and 106th United States Colored Troops. These were valiant men from Limestone County and the surrounding areas who fought for their freedom. As Southern as they were, their valor is not memorialized in the manner of Confederates. Heritage stems from culture, and unfortunately our culture values victory over truth. To me, the paintings or statues are another symbol of that cultural system, but not the South itself. They glorify some Southern experiences and ignore the oppression, discrimination, and otherism that Black individuals are constantly resisting. The monuments distill down to a powerful question, one that we must keep asking as African Americans continue to be discriminated against, harmed, and murdered. W.E. Du Bois posed it over 100 years ago, saying, quote, "To the real question, how does it feel to be a problem? I answer seldom a word," end quote. The process of defending our opposition and demanding equality is a problem is exhausting. Part of the problem is that our Southern heritage contradicts the story the South would like to exude. Contextualization of the memorials, statues, paintings, and other artifacts or symbols should be an option reserved for when you cannot simply get to the point and repair the narrative as it should be. Do I still have time?
Yes.
Yes.
I think her narrative, am I done now?
No, go ahead.
You
Go
can
conclude.
finish.
I think
Give it a
she
little.
was being awfully polite, sort of bending over backwards to be polite. And this is my opinion now. I think the bar is kind of on the floor for this. There's a second, more historical Confederate memorial across the street in the cemetery that's older, and that's a more appropriate place to memorialize the dead anyway. In front of the courthouse is not the right place. It makes a mockery of the criminal justice system. This is a monument to an anti-American government that fought for an economic system based on the dehumanization, disenfranchisement of black Americans. And then after it failed, our political and economic and social systems, steeped in white supremacy, continued to suppress and commit acts of terrorism and violence against our black neighbors.
Ms. Cotton, how much more do you have there?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're close to wrapping it up. By the way, there's a lot of time of letting everybody have a speak to. Go ahead.
I just be careful about claiming heritage when you fail to acknowledge and repent for our historical foundations and white supremacy. Do that first. Tell the whole story. And please think very hard about the message you want to send to future citizens of this town, and please do the right thing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Lee Key.
Lee.
Good morning. I actually don't have a speech. I just kind of wanted to come up here and kind of speak from my heart about how I feel about Athens and growing up here. You know, up there, the monuments that we heard earlier are there to represent those who have died protecting us in this area. I see that as just one statue there, looking at all those that suffered through the Civil War, trying to protect what they felt was right here in this, in our part of the South. And another thing, I mean, I have no racial issues whatsoever, and I never have, but another statue or monument up there has my grandfather's name on it. Lieutenant Benton McLemore was a police officer here in Athens in the 60s who was shot and killed in the line of duty by a black man up on the north end of town. And, never ever had that to hold me against anyone, black, white, whatever nationality, so I feel like this nation that we're in right now has allowed a very bad act by a police officer to affect how we think. And, now they're thinking police officers are bad, which they're good and bad no matter where we are. So I think we should look at this in light of the situation of what we're trying to protect now from our heritage and keep that there as a reminder of what people have gone through. I mean, if there are other statues to be erected in, recognition of others that have suffered, I would have no problem with that. But I do feel like that, the city of Athens is proud of where we are and what we've gone through to get to where we are today. And just because of the fact our society is changing, and it's almost, if anyone's offended, it's a whole different situation than the way we grew up, and I get times change, but we need to understand and respect the past, and that's kind of what I want to leave y'all with that. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. King. Thank you.
I don't have anyone else
That all?
signed in.
Did Richard sign up?
Not at this meeting, he didn't.
Okay. Richard, you had to sign up before the rest of the rules there. You can talk to me about it afterwards. Anybody else have any comment? We will all be standing around afterwards if anybody wants to speak to anybody. Thank you. Pam, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Samet.
Here.
Commissioner Turner.
Here.
Commissioner Black.
Here.
Commissioner Harrison.
Here. Thank you. Chief Sloss, would you lead us in our pledge, please, sir? Thank you, Chief. First on the agenda, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes from June the 2nd of 2020. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Black. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Harrison. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Samet.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Motion carries unanimously. Second on the agenda, I'll ask for a motion to approve claims in the amount of $1,827,516.42. Do I have such a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Turner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Salmon. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner? Commissioner Salmon?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Motion carries unanimously. Do we have any conflicts of interest from anything coming in front of the commission today on the agenda? With everybody's silence, I'll take that as a no. We have no resolutions nor orders. Under contracts, agreements, and grants, I'll ask for a motion to approve 3-year payment plan purchase with VMware license for Information Technological Department for $72,000 due now and $8,606.94 due in year 2 and the same amount due in year 3. Do I have such a motion?
I make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Turner. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Harrison. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, that's
7,200. Yeah, what I say?
72,000.
Oh, 7,200. Sorry.
Okay, I just wanted to
Yeah.
make it straight.
All right. Yeah, $7,200 and then $8,606.94 2 years afterwards. All right. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner? Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Salmon?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you there, Darrell.
No problem.
Under budget revisions, I'll ask for a motion to move $25,000 from the council and agents budgetary fund balance to the RMM motor vehicles. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Black. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Turner. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Salmon?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We have no emergency purchases. Under board appointments, I'll ask for a motion to approve to appoint Jason Black to serve on the 2020 and 2021 ACCA Legislative Committee. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Turner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Salmon. Any discussion?
Yeah, Ben made mention in a meeting to change how we do this. I say, you know, I won't be here, but might as well make it a 4-year term in the future. I mean, or if that person only has 2 years left to serve on the commission with an election coming up, make it 2 years. But I mean, doing this every year, you know, I would imagine, and Jason probably knows better than I do because he's served on it. I would think that it would take a little while to get your feet up under you, so and kind of know what's going on. So 1 year at a time. I mean, if you don't put the same person back in there, you're throwing somebody in some water that's new and they don't know what's happening. So it benefit them to have been there a little bit. That's just my comment. Thank you for what it's worth.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any more comments? Any more discussion? All right. No more discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Salmon?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Motion carries unanimously. Second on here, I'll ask to nominate the following candidates to be submitted to the governor to appoint one nominee to serve a 4-year term on the board of directors for the Alabama Elk River Development Agency, which the names are Mayor Tracy Compton, Mayor Ronnie Marks, and Mayor Billy Shannon. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Salmon. Any a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Black. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Salmon?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Motion carries unanimously. We have no award of bids. Under personnel action, first on here is I'll ask for a motion to hire Sidney Townsend, employ Sidney Townsend as a deputy pending a drug screening. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Black. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Salmon?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Second on here, I'll ask to promote Mark Hurd from Corrections Officer Corporal to Corrections Officer Sergeant. Do I have such a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Black. Any discussion? No discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner? Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Samet? Commissioner Harrison?
Motion carries unanimously. Third on here, I'll ask for a motion to transfer Caleb King from work release superintendent to deputy/school resource officer. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Black, second by Commissioner Turner. Any discussion?
Caleb's going to Tanner, is that right?
Yeah, he is going to Tanner.
That's
yes.
good.
All right. Any more discussion? No discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner? Commissioner Samet? Commissioner Harrison?
Motion carries unanimously. Fourth on here, I'll ask to transfer John Russell from corrections officer sergeant to work release superintendent. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison. Have a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Samet. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Samet?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner? Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Fifth on the agenda, I'll ask for a motion to promote Tracy Tyler from corrections officer to corrections officer corporal. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Black.
Second it.
Second by Commissioner Samet. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Samet?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner? Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Sixth on the agenda, I'll ask the motion to transfer Blake McMahon from Equipment Operator 3 to Herbicide Operator in Engineering Department. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Turner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Samet. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner? Commissioner Samet?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Seventh on here, I'll ask for a motion to promote Quentin Wise from Engineering Assistant Sign Tech to Equipment Operator 3 in the Engineering Department. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Black. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Turner. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner? Commissioner Samet?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Eighth on the agenda, I'll ask for a motion to amend the staffing plan to add 3 Equipment Operator 1 positions to the paving and road maintenance and the engineering. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Samet. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner? Commissioner Samet?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Ninth on the agenda, under personnel action, I'll ask for a motion to approve to hire the following as Equipment Operator 1s in the Engineering Department pending a drug screening. First name is Doug Watson, second name is Logan McMahon, third name is Cameron Wright. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Black. Any discussion?
I just will make the comment that, items 7, 8, and 9 has been an attempt to keep our paving crew staffed and be able to address all these projects. Since we acquired that milling machine back in September of last year, that has opened up a lot more projects for our paving crew to do and to get more done and do it cost effectively. And I just want to commend the strategy that we've adopted to affect that, and commend Mark Massey.
Any more discussion? More comments? All righty. No more discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Samet?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Motion carries unanimously. Finally, our merit increases. I'll ask for a motion to approve all the merit increases listed below. Do I have such a motion?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Black. Any discussion with any of them? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner? Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Samet?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. At this point, I'll turn it over to Engineer Mr. Mark Massey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 3 subdivisions for your consideration today. Jones Estates, which is a minor, so this will be for preliminary and final. It's for 8 lots in District 2, west side of Jones Road. Rainey Estates subdivision, this is a replat of tracts 4 and 5, combining into 1 lot, so this will be a minor, preliminary, and final. In District 3, approximately 871 feet north of Snake Road and Davis Road intersection. And Bowman Acres, which was kind of held over from the last meeting, Bowman Acres Phase 2. This is a major subdivision, so it will only be for preliminary, creating 24 lots in District 2, southeast corner of Brown Road and Bledsoe Road. That's all I have under subdivisions.
All righty. I'll ask for a motion to approve the 3 subdivisions as submitted by Mr. Engineer.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Turner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Harrison. Any discussion?
Just, you know what, I asked for those guys from Bowman Acres to be here today, just to have a conversation with us. And it applies across the board to everybody developing a subdivision in Limestone County. We need you to take care of the housekeeping along the roads, along the entrances to those subdivisions. It just makes it better on everybody involved, the people that are currently living in those areas, people that are gonna be living in those areas, and us as far as our maintenance of the road. It's a whole lot easier to take care of if you'll pitch in and help us.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any more discussion? No more discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Samet?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, I also have for your consideration is a name change of a section of road that is kind of an east-west cut-through road between Red Hill Hollow Road and Easter Ferry Road. It's currently known as Red Hill Hollow Road, but to address some addressing issues, it's been petitioned to have that name changed to Abigail Lane.
All right. I'll ask for a motion to approve the road name change from Red Hill Road to Abigail Lane as submitted by the engineer. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Black. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Commissioner Samet?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner?
Motion carries unanimously. Under other business, I'll ask to remove the following from inventory, which is a District 4 is a 2010 Kubota mini excavator. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Samet. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Samet?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner? Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next on the agenda, I'll ask for a motion to approve for the Limestone County Sign Department to make and install a historical sign for the west portion of the new Garden Cemetery to be reimbursed by the Limestone County Historical Society. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Samet. Any second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Harrison. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Samet?
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner? Commissioner Black?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We have no scheduled public hearing. At this time, it'll be the report of officers. Commissioner Samet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out today and voicing your opinion. I know everybody's got a busy schedule, and I just appreciate your opinion. Also, I'd like to thank Chief Sloss and his men for the work they've done down here. I've come by numerous times, and it'd be 90 degrees, and Mr. Cummins would still be out there with that foghorn, just never letting up, keeping control. And Mike, all your crew has done a great job. And I just want to mention that and tell you, don't know how much longer it'll last, but hopefully not long. But anyway, appreciate the job y'all do. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Samet. Commissioner Turner?
Yeah, I appreciate all the comments on both sides of the question at hand here today. Take them all into consideration. I don't know what yet the commission will do, if there's anything we'll do, but we're glad to be able to hear from people and get both comments. As far as thanking the Sheriff's Department, I appreciate the Sheriff's Department helping us with some traffic control issues we had on a paving project. And if you're hearing this, those guys that are working on the road, they want to be able to go home today. So if we've got you held up, it's not because we're trying to slow you up. It's because we're trying to take care of you, the people that are working for us, and other motorists. So please obey the traffic signs and the commands you're being given by the flagman when you're approaching a work area.
Thank you, Commissioner Turner. Commissioner Black?
Yeah, I discussed earlier in the work session about us having a piece of equipment that reclaims the road. We'll be reclaiming from 7 Mile Post Road to Shaw Road, a portion of Snake Road. What is it? 2.5 miles.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact
And
number. But
it'll take the majority of the week. A reclaimer just goes in there essentially and just grinds up what's already there, and it lays all that back down. Then we come in there and we wet it and roll it, wet it and roll it, and then we come in and put gravel, and then we'll put a chip seal on top of that. So this is part of our Alabama money that we got from the recent tax on fuel, and we're using it wisely. So it's very beneficial. This area that we're in is a very rural area. There's not many homes through there, but those people deserve the same thing that everybody else is getting. So that's why we chose to do that area. So also on the monument, on the Civil War monument, I appreciate everyone coming out. I appreciate the young students or the younger adults. I think she was a senior class president in 2007. I was senior class president in 1987. And when you get in this position right here, you have to make decisions just like any other place that sometimes somebody's going to be upset. Someone's not going to win. Someone's not going to get the way that they want it on that side. But you have to take in account that when we make a decision or when we vote based on, we were put in this position. We vote based on those people that came before us. We vote based on the Constitution of Alabama, whether it's the longest one and has more amendments than any other, that it's outdated, it's still our Constitution, and that's the Constitution that we as a county commission vowed to follow. So with that being said, I don't know if it will be on the agenda someday that we will vote to keep or remove or replace or relocate, but I do know that decision more likely will not be influenced by those who are coming to us now, but influenced by a majority of people that are nationwide and that are interested in equality, that are interested in love and compassion for each race, love and compassion for each sex, and also the love and compassion for those who have fallen ill or dead to a heinous attempt at doing their job. There are bad apples in government. There are bad apples in police. There are bad apples across our communities. We have to understand that we deal with each individual person different, not based on their color, not based on their sex. So this will be a decision that we may have to make later, and I just want everyone to know that I value everyone's opinion and I value everyone's wishes, but somebody on one side's not going to get what they want. So I think that when that time comes, I will tell you why I chose to do what I chose to do, and that will be a very well thought out process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Black. Commissioner Harrison?
District 4, we're working on County Line Road. We're adding cross drains and side drains and pulling ditches and getting it ready for reclaiming and then later for the purpose later for Lauderdale County to come in and to plant mix that road. So that's where we're working now. I too want to thank everyone that came out to speak on this issue. I can remember when I first came before the commission back in 2006, and I wasn't used to coming and speaking before a group. But I will applaud you for taking the time and doing that and making your wishes known. You may be nervous, but that just shows us how much you're passionate about getting your views across and lobbying and stating what your position is. And that's good for us to let us know how you feel so we can see the different perspectives that go into our decisions. And I appreciate you for doing that. I look at what's going on in our country today, and I just, a lot of it's just craziness. But we should oppose injustice anywhere and everywhere. And racism in our area, I don't perceive that it's a huge issue, but there is some. And I would be lying if I said that there's not some, but to me, it's to a smaller degree than it exists in other places. But whatever it is, it's not right. And we should work, and racism will exist until the love of God permeates the hearts and souls of individuals. And that's where it's got to start. That's what we've got to work toward, and eliminate that type of attitude. And we should work to eliminate all injustice wherever it's at. So I do appreciate you coming out, and we will take all that into advisement. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming out. I mean, like everybody here said, you know, y'all's opinions are valued either side, and I know how hard it is to get in front of the public. I mean, be honest with you, I never wanted to be public speaking at all. Here I am sitting in front of all of y'all today. It's still hard on me today. I mean, speaking to public. And I want to thank all the commissioners. We're working on the Rails to Trails up there, and all commissioners have dedicated their time. We're trying to finish up a grant up there, and I want to thank all of them for jumping in here and helping us try to finish up this program. You know, I took this office, I put my hand on the Bible, I raised my hand to uphold the law, and the law right now on the monument is, you know, it's protected. And like I said, if the legislature changes the law, we'll worry about that when that comes around. I just want to thank everybody, and I want to do what's best, and I want to uphold the law of the office and the law of the land. Like Commissioner Black said, I know that everything's not perfect in no world, but we're trying every day to make things better. Thank y'all for being here, and we'll adjourn until 9 a.m. on Monday, July the 6th of 2020 at the Clinton Street Courthouse Annex 100 South Clinton Street. Thank y'all.